Hello and welcome. It's 11 a.m. here in Seoul. I'm Lee Kyung-eun at the Arirang News Center. We're breaking into our regular session to bring you a live briefing from the South Korean health authorities on the COVID-19 outbreak. In just a few moments, we'll cut into the briefing at the Sejong Government Complex with simultaneous interpretation in English. Health Ministry official Yoon Tae-ho will be giving us details on the COVID-19 situation here in the country. He'll fill us on the number of new infections as of midnight and the efforts that the government is making to contain the virus, especially with continuing cluster infections here in Seoul and the surrounding capital region. To give you a brief idea as we wait, South Korea reported 674 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, staying below the 1,000 mark for the fourth consecutive day. We'll cut into the briefing now. Take a listen.
코로나19 대응 방안 등을 설명하겠습니다.
Let us now begin our regular briefing for January 8th, Friday. As of today midnight, we have 633 new local infections and 41 new imported cases. And yesterday at the makeshift testing centers, we have identified a total of 183 patients. And we also had 35 additional fatalities. And I extend my deepest condolences to the deceased and the members of the bereaved families. We are seeing a downward trend. However, we are continuously witnessing sporadic outbreaks here in the country. And last week, we had a daily average of local infections standing at around 700. Right now, we have passed the peak of the outbreak, and we cautiously say that we are entering the downward trend of the outbreak. However, looking at the sporadic outbreak of the local community, the speed will be very slow. And to this end, we also have a very apparent seasonal variable, and we also have the influx of a new the variant of the COVID-19, and therefore we cannot let our guards down as of yet. We have had prolonged social distancing practiced among the public, and therefore we have a lot of heightened level of fatigue among the people, and therefore it is very difficult for us to sustain such tightened quarantine measures. So for the next 10 days, especially until the 17th of January, it is very crucial for us to contain the outbreak as much as possible. Right now, it is very much important that we have a high proportion of not only cluster infections, but also cases that stem from social contact. So we ask you to also take particular precautions. So please cancel all of your gatherings and social meetings, and please reduce any of social physical contact. And moreover, we have had heightened proportion of patients stemming from previous contacts with family members. Please note that it is very important to reduce these family contacts to protect your loved ones. And there are many people, especially who are working in the small businesses or small business owners, who are inflicted with great damages, especially economically, due to the heightened quarantine measures. And also, we have many issues at hand regarding the equity and the fairness of these quarantine measures. And we will be looking into these in detail and provide necessary detailed measures after the 17th of January. It is very important that we decrease the number of contacts, and we will also exert our full efforts to provide and devise necessary policies. And looking at the foot traffic nationwide, we have seen a decrease of the foot traffic by about 4.4% from the previous week nationwide. And we would like to thank all of the members of the public for your participation. And this downward trend needs to continue for the time being. And even during the weekend, we ask you to comply with such measures as well. And in response to the quarantine measures, we have some updates. Despite the chilly weather and heavy snowfall, we have had around 100,000 cases conducted yesterday. And nationwide, we had about 60,000 tests that were conducted with suspected symptoms. And also in the metropolitan area, we had about 30,000 testings in the makeshift centers in the metropolitan area, while about 5,000 were also tested in the non-metropolitan areas. And due to the cold weather, we are also having a shortened operation hour of these temporary testing sites from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we would also like to extend my deepest condolences, deepest appreciation, that is, to our medical staff members. And as for the medical response, we are also having a timely manner. And in the metropolitan area, we have 0 cases who are waiting to be admitted to the hospitals. And nationwide, we have about 190 hospital beds for the critically ill patients nationwide, and also about 71 in the metropolitan area as well. And as for the light symptom patients, we also have the life treatment centers and the COVID-19 designated centers. And we have in about 12,000 hospital beds that are available at the moment. And we are also exerting our full efforts to provide compensation and incentives for these medical staff members who are fighting against COVID-19. And also we are providing all of the nurses who are working at the hospitals to treat the critically ill patients, and they will be given allowances of over 50,000 Korean won, and this would also increase going forward. And as for the new variant of the virus, we have some updated measures. Starting from today, everyone who are entering into South Korea, for all of the foreigners, we are mandating them to submit a PCR negative document. And also, the flights from Britain will be banned until the 21st of January. And all of the people who are coming in from Britain and South Africa, including all of the foreigners and Korean nationals, will need to get tested upon their arrival. And they also would be admitted to a temporary shelter site as well. And we will also exert our efforts to contain the virus going forward. And as for the correctional facilities, we have some updated responses as well. And as of today midnight, we have a total of 1,207 patients at the correctional facilities nationwide. And nationwide, we have conducted the testings for at the 38 correctional facilities nationwide with about 40,000 people who were subjected to the test as well. And starting from this week, we will also carry out regular weekly testings for those people who are working at these correctional facilities. And we will also exert our full efforts to contain the virus spread, especially centering around the correctional facilities. We have about 10 days until we reach the 17th of January. And during the weekend, we also ask you to comply with the quarantine measures going forward. And please refrain from having social gatherings and social meetings and cancel all of them as well. And especially these includes the family meetings as well as small group meetings with your acquaintances as well. And during the cold winter, we have many people congregating indoors, and we believe that these indoor places could be very crowded with people. And especially at restaurants or where you have to dine in, it is very difficult for you to wear a face mask, so please avoid these circumstances as well. And during the winter, you could get similar symptoms like flu-like symptoms. So if you have any symptoms, any suspected symptoms, please get tested as soon as possible in order to protect your loved ones and your people and everyone around you as well. And last but not least, at the places of worship, we ask you to switch all of your gatherings to non-face-to-face means as well. Up until now, we understand that all of you have exerted your great efforts, and we thank you once again for your efforts, and we will also exert our full efforts to contain the third wave. Thank you very much.
지금부터 질의응답 시간을 가지겠습니다.
That was the government briefing on the COVID-19 situation here in the country. South Korea reported 674 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, staying below the 1,000 mark for the fourth consecutive day. Of them, 633 were locally transmitted and 41 were from overseas. There have been 35 more deaths, bringing the total death toll to 1,081. With the slight decline in cases, restrictions on indoor sports facilities will be partially lifted starting Friday. We'll wrap up the coverage here. We'll be back at 12 p.m. Korea time with our midday news with Mark Broom. Bye for now.
For the past month, COVID-19 has continued to spread through small-scale gatherings. The Ministry of Health and Welfare has decided to extend the special measures for the end of the year, along with the level 2.5 social distancing for an additional 2 weeks until January 17th. The ban on private gatherings of 5 people or more is expanded nationwide and will be implemented for 2 weeks. At restaurants, only parties of up to 4 people are allowed. Ski resorts and other winter sports facilities are permitted to continue operating but must maintain 1/3 or lower occupancy and must close at 9 p.m. Small-scale get-togethers should be avoided and postponed as much as possible, and quarantine guidelines must be strictly followed so we can end the third wave of infections together. Overcoming COVID-19 together, let's all stick to the basics. Did you get a chance to watch the revamped show? It's all about diplomats residing in Korea and their special stories. Each ambassador has different responsibilities, but they all share one common role, being a bridge between Korea and their respective countries. Tune in to the in-depth interviews as we discuss politics, economy, social issues, culture, history, and more. Diplomat Talks. Get new content every week through exclusive video reports. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, we're bringing you important updates on the virus while looking at its effects on our society. How has the coronavirus changed our lives, and what other social effects can we take a look at? Get a glimpse into everyday life in Korea now. What are some popular economic trends in Korea? BizTech Korea brings you different content in diversified formats, including vlogs and hashtags. For example, LabTube introduces promising young researchers and their ongoing projects, while Hashtag explores trends through hashtags on social media. Catch all of the latest on Korea's emerging technologies and economy, BizTech Korea.
이곳은 봄, 여름, 가을, 겨울 아름다운 경치와 귀한 개석이 어울려져 있는 비파당입니다. 이곳에 내려오는 전설이 있는데요. 하늘에 있는 선녀들이 이곳에 내려와 목욕을 즐기며 너럭바위에서 비파를 즐겼다는 전설이 내려오고 있습니다. 이곳은 제1경인 라제 통문입니다. 옛 신라와 백제의 국경선이었습니다. 이 라제 통문을